Impact assessments help us think carefully about the decisions we make, how we deliver services, how we raise and spend resources, and how planned changes might reduce or risk worsening inequality. Equality impact assessments, whether carried out on their own or as part of an integrated process, are tools that help us evaluate how decisions affect different groups in society, particularly those protected under the Equality Act and other marginalised groups. This includes considering both positive and negative impacts, and what actions we can take to reduce any harm. For impact assessments to be meaningful, equality issues need to be considered early. If left too late, the process risks becoming just a tick-box exercise. They should also be reviewed and monitored after implementation, so we can see whether the intended outcomes are being achieved, or whether there have been unintended consequences. As part of the assessment, it's not enough simply to describe the problem or list evidence of inequality. To make a difference, we need to ask, how does what we know about inequality influence the proposal? Will the proposal help address inequality or make it worse? Evidence gathered should actively shape and inform the decision. When including a source in an impact assessment, ask yourself, has this evidence actually been used in the strategy, service design, or budget decision being assessed? If reliable data isn't available, consultations with key stakeholders is essential. Wherever possible, results should be broken down to understand how different groups are affected. When many decisions are taken at once, such as during a budget setting, a cumulative impact assessment should also be carried out. This helps identify how multiple decisions interact and whether together they create additional pressures on particular groups. As part of your analysis, think about the data you will need to collect or the consultations you will need to run to monitor the impact over time. Impact assessments should never be seen as a one-off task. They are a tool to support continuous learning and improvement. When considering the protected characteristics of sex, it's important to recognise the different expectations placed on men and women, particularly around unpaid care. These differences shape how people live and how decisions affect them. Too often, women and the inequalities they face remain invisible in plain sight. To improve consideration of sex as a protected characteristic, ensure the assessment looks at unpaid care responsibilities, feelings of safety, and experiences of poverty. For example, changes to school transport might mean more parents have to take children to school themselves. This could limit opportunities for paid work, and because women are more likely to provide care, it could deepen gender inequality. Reducing street lighting hours might make women and other groups feel unsafe at night, limiting their freedom to move around and restricting their choices. Asking the right questions can strengthen assessments. Key gender budgeting questions include: what do you know about those who use the service or who will be affected by the proposal? Who will benefit? How do gender stereotypes and norms shape how people access services or interact with this area of work? How might this impact other policy or business areas? And could this create disadvantages for some groups? How will this affect the organisation's wider outcomes? Will there be effects across a person's lifetime? Are there other ways that funding could be used to achieve better outcomes?